Parenting Great Kids is supported by Winning Moves Games. Have you ever played Pass the Pigs by Winning Moves Games? It's a classic game of chance featuring two tiny, adorable pigs that have sold millions of copies, and a delightful stocking stuffer, too. Pass the Pigs is available at toy stores everywhere, but for a special 20% discount, visit winning-moves.com and promo code capital MEG now. And by TOCA TV. TOCA TV is the most playful video streaming experience for kids. No third-party advertising or sponsored content. Only videos that will make your child laugh, be inspired, and simply have fun. Have peace of mind knowing every video is handpicked and pre-screened by TOCA Boca to ensure it's safe, enjoyable, and awesome for your child. Download TOCA TV on the App Store today to try it for free. For 30 plus years, I've seen every type of child grow up.
Instead of giving me what I wanted, she gave me what I needed, which was truth.
Don't let emotions win. Let truth win.
Do your very best, and you should have a lot of fun while you do it. And the better you get at something, the more fun you're going to have at something.
You moms and dads are wired with everything you need to be a parent to a great kid. Welcome to Parenting Great Kids. This is episode number 18. In this episode, I'm going to share with you another conversation from the road. These are recorded conversations that I have with some of my colleagues and friends who are speakers at other conferences. And after we speak, I grab them backstage and I have a conversation with them that I record specifically for you so that you can glean some of the wisdom that they have in their writing and in their speaking. In this conversation from the road, I had the privilege of sitting down with my friend, Dr. Les Parrott. Before I share the conversation with you, I wanted to tell you a little bit about him. Les and his wife, Leslie Parrott, are marriage counselors. Les is not only a marriage counselor who helps hundreds of thousands of couples have stronger marriages, he's a man who teaches us that marriage really can be fun. I love the way he uses humor to teach us married folk not to take ourselves and many of the problems that we feel are insurmountable too seriously. If we really want our kids to grow up to be happy and successful adults, we've really got to start teaching them that a great marriage is possible. You know, so many times when you hear of a young couple getting married, we hear comments said to them like, well, welcome to the life of the ball and the chain, or there goes all of your fun. And I find this really very discouraging. When I see a couple who's recently engaged and they're going to get married, I make a point of going up to them and telling them, you know what? Marriage can be great. It really can be great. How hard would it be to start off this brand new life on a negative foot with all of your friends telling you that you've lost all of your freedom and that no more fun is to be had? And that's really not true. So we need to encourage our young people that having a great marriage is really possible. And our job as parents is to help our kids get there. Listen to this, regardless of what our experience has been. It's very important for us parents to encourage our children that they can have a great marriage, whether we've had a great marriage or whether we haven't. Who says that our children can't be more successful at marriage than we are? Marriage is good for young people. Studies show that it offers emotional and financial stability, and studies clearly show that marriage is much better for kids than any of the other alternatives like living together. And that's why each of us owes it to the kids we love to work really hard at our own marriages to give them a picture of what good marriage is like. And if we aren't married, to encourage them that they can go on and have great marriages, because that's the way they're going to find stability for themselves and stability for their families. Friends, it's a scary world we live in today, and there's no denying it. The world your kids are growing up in is even scarier than it was for my kids when they were growing up. Technology and over-sexualized culture, drugs, alcohol, all of these are very real threats to your kids, no matter how old your kids are and no matter how good they are. While you are raising kids in a tech, sex, and drug-filled world, I believe that you have the greatest influence in your child's life and that you can help them navigate through the scary world of sex and drugs and the internet. I've done a lot of research into what keeps kids safe in the world, and I've come up with 9 essentials that every parent must know in order to keep their kids safe. I'm excited to share all 9 of these essentials in my online course called How to Keep Your Kids Safe in a Tech, Sex, Drug-Filled World, and it's available right now on my website. Simply go to megmeekermd.com and click on Parenting Resources. And I'm giving listeners of my podcast $10 off the price of the course when you use the code PODCAST at checkout. So mom and dad, raising kids in the world today is scary, but you don't have to do it alone. I'm here to help you every step of the way. So I hope you now enjoy my conversation from the road with Dr. Les Parrott. Well, hi, this is Dr. Meg Meeker, and I am here at Dave Ramsey's Smart Conference in Los Angeles, and it's really, really fun because we have a lot of great speakers that come together and talk about all sorts of different topics, and I am sitting down talking with a very good friend, Les Parrott. Les, thanks for joining me.
Good to be with you. I always look forward to these speaking engagements because we get to visit, and it's just a blast.
You know, that's the most fun, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's fun just seeing each other and talking and catching
Right.
up. What are you doing? What's going on in your life?
Yeah.
And then we go and I don't know about you, but I always get really encouraged by listening to your talk. And I've heard your talk a lot of times, but I always get something new out of it. And I love your stories. And I never realized you were such a funny guy.
Are you asking me if I get encouraged by my own talks?
Do you get encouraged by mine?
I really
Yeah.
do. And it's so fun to hear all the speakers because you hear it with different ears every time because you're in a different place, they're in a different place. And we're talking about truth, right? We're talking about transformative truth.
Mm-hmm.
That's why they call it a smart conference. Mm-hmm. And it's just so fun to, and I love being first in the day, by the way, because I can kick it off and then just relax the rest of the time and soak it all in.
I do not like that you're first in the day because I'm towards the end of the day, and you wait and you wait and you wait, and I go after lunch and everybody's had their lunch and they're sitting there, and so I have to talk extra loud to kind of jazz them up a little bit. But
I do not envy that time slot, that is for sure. But you do a great job. In fact, you always get a standing ovation and people love it. It's powerful.
Well, my heart's in it. I'm all about championing fathers.
Yeah.
You are a marriage guru. You and your wife Leslie have done a lot of work in marriage. You have a fabulous program called Simba, Saving Your Marriage Before It Starts, and I know you're doing all sorts of work. I'm a pediatrician, and I talk to a lot of parents of teenagers and young adults, and I talk a lot about with the parents and the kids about making really sound choices during high school, which a lot of parents believe that the kids can't. They think kids are just going to go down the dark road. That's the way it is.
Right.
Nothing they can do about it. But those are so important because it's going to impact their marriages later on in life. Yeah. So if you were in my office and you were sitting next to me talking to parents and teenagers that were 16, 17 years old, what are the key things that you would want to talk to them about that they need to pay attention to in order to prepare for a great marriage?
To talk to the parents about.
Talk to the parents and to talk to the kids.
I love the question, and obviously I've spent most of my professional life traveling down this lane. We did a research project a while ago at the University of Chicago looking at the attitudinal set that 18-year-old to 35-year-olds have about marriage. You hear so much negativity about marriage these days. One thing we know, first of all, is that 86% of young people want to be married, and 82% of that 86 believe it'll be for life.
Wonderful.
So people still believe in marriage. They want marriage and they want it to work. We did this massive study, thousands and thousands of individuals between 18 and 35, to find out what is their attitude just toward the enterprise of marriage, not a specific relationship, just the idea of marriage, and discover they fall into a number of groups. One is called the resolute. And these are people that believe in marriage. They can't imagine not being married, and it's part of their life plan. And I would imagine that the vast majority of people listening to us right now, that's what they prize for their child, to see them married and committed to that. There's also the rational approach, what we call the rational attitude set. And these are people that typically have seen a pretty sad story on the home front. They want to get married. but they know it's going to be tough work. And then there's the romantics. These are people that they love words like soulmate, and they want to write the great love story that's
I
never
imagine
been
those
written.
predominantly women.
You'll see more women, about 60-40% there, and split. And then you'll see reluctant. These are people that just don't want to get married at all. It's just a piece of paper, and so forth. So you'll see that spread of that attitude. But if you want your child to be in that first category, you first of all, what I would say, if I was sitting in your office with couples, is just make sure that you realize how much is being caught rather than taught. We all know that, right? You've got to model this relationship. This is not about preaching it. This is about living it. And that's their university of relationships, not just for marriage, but for everything. They learn so much by just being in that home. So that's number one. Take a good look at your own relationship.
The problem is, Les, let me stop you there.
Yeah.
You know, there's so many, I mean, we read statistics, and I don't know if it's real or not, that 50% of the homes that kids grow up in have a single parent.
Yeah.
Is that true, or is that overblown?
It depends on how you look at it.
Okay.
You know, because like most stats that are talking about big general trends, it's where you cut it. But you can say still there's far too many divorces. We know that.
Yeah. So how do those kids learn anything? I mean, how do they see anything modeled?
Yeah. So I teach at a conservative Christian college, and we have a class called Marriage 101. It's the largest class on campus. It's an elective. It's not required for any reason, and students love being. If we fill out the biggest auditorium on campus, and on the first night I'll ask those students, how many of you come from a home where you didn't see mom and dad, two biological parents together? And it's now the majority. When we first started teaching this 20 years ago, that wasn't the case. And so we see this a lot, and I think that's why they're so thirsty. They're so hungry for good principles on lifelong love, because they still want
They're coming to a college class to learn how to be married.
Yeah.
So there is hope for kids who don't have it modeled.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's your first principle to parents. Model a great marriage in your home if you're married. 2.
Number 2 is to give them the gift. This is Leslie and I often joke about, if we could give a wedding gift to everybody that gets married in the country, it would be a box of empathy. That capacity to put yourself in the other person's shoes. That skill, in my opinion, is the single most important skill set that you can pass along to your kids. Unfortunately, we can't buy it. We can't put it in a bottle or a box. And so this is something you've got to model and teach. And it's intentional. And here's the issue that a lot of parents don't understand. When that child is in their teen years, empathy is about as far away as possible from what they can do, literally, because it's all about identity, right? They're carving out that sense of who am I. Yeah,
and psychologically, that's their developmental state.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so where their brain is.
Yes, and you want them to be there. So there's something wrong if they're not there.
Right.
I often liken it to wearing mirrored sunglasses, but you take the lenses out and you flip them around and you put them back in the frames.
It's a good,
And they look out at the world and all they can see is all their own needs.
Yeah.
And so they walk into a social setting, and instead of saying, how are you doing? They're thinking to themselves, how am I doing? How's my hair? How about my pants? How about my shoes? Am I looking good? You know, and of course that's not the funnest person to be around that's consumed with themselves.
Well, that's why they drive parents crazy.
All of us, yes, absolutely. Until you understand it and go, wait, that's where they need to be. That's where I got a problem if my kid isn't there.
Yeah.
But as they mature, you want to get them to a place where they can walk into a social setting and no longer say, how am I doing, figuratively, but literally, how are you doing? But figuratively as well, to feel it. How's this person doing? And begin to put themselves in their shoes. That's the mark of maturity.
So how does a parent train empathy into a teenager?
Yeah.
Knowing that psychologically they're not there, but they're going to need that for good marriage. And we know that it'll come when they're in their 20s. But is there anything parents can do to kind of nurture that along?
Absolutely. So many things. Think about like in a church group. We take our kids on mission trips and we expose them to things where they just blows their mind. I had no idea people lived this way. And they're building a house for that family or whatever it is. And it's those kinds of things that are pretty jarring, but also just even debriefing a movie with your kids and begin to say, what do you think about, who do you identify most with in that movie? And what do you think it was like for the other person, though? And begin to get them just to see things from other people's perspectives. Same thing when they're debriefing their day at school and they come home. Well, that teacher, man, she just doesn't know how to teach and she's blah, blah, blah,
Oh, I heard that a lot.
And you begin to think, well, what do you think her day was like? I wonder if she was upset or something. I wonder if, she's just having a really bad day.
Yeah.
No, she's always this way, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
I wonder, do you think she grew up in a home where she learned to, just to begin to think
Exactly.
and process that stuff. You do that, and you'll raise a child that begins to empathize, and it's going to pay off in their marriage and every other relationship.
Yeah. Do not go away, because you'll want to hear the rest of my conversation from the road with Dr. Les Parrott. TOCA TV is the most playful video experience for kids. This is a brand new experience from TOCA Boca that combines kids' creativity with thousands of hand-picked, carefully curated videos. TOCA TV never relies on algorithms, and they handpick and pre-screen every video to make sure it's right for your kids. No advertising or sponsored content, only videos that will make your kids laugh, be inspired, and simply have fun. Your kids will find favorites like Minecraft gameplay, DIY crafts and recipes, silly songs, and so much more. Plus, exclusive TOCA Boca videos that are only available on TOCA TV. They're adding more fantastic videos every week, so your kids will never run out of content to enjoy. And friends, I want to encourage you to try out TOCA, because you know and I know that kids can run into a lot of ugly stuff there on advertisements, even if you don't mind the shows they're watching. Your kids won't just sit back and watch. With TOCA TV, kids can get in on the fun, film their own videos with their recording tools and silly animated filters. Download TOCA TV on the App Store today to try it for free. If you're like me, the shelf space in your bathroom is precious real estate. That's why I'm excited to introduce you to a line of beauty products that's as great at multitasking as you are. KOPARI. These are products that moisturize skin and hair, smell great, but without any sulfates, silicones, GMOs, and parabens. Instead, KOPARI products are made with 100% organic coconut oil. Friends, coconut balm is my favorite because I have very dry skin on my face and my arms. I love it. KOPARI searched around the world for an oil of the highest quality with a great aroma and a non-gritty texture that you can apply head to toe. Say aloha to the best skin and hair of your life with KOPARI. Go to koparibeauty.com/Meg to get 20% off your order. That's KOPARI, KOPARI beauty.com/Meg for 20% off. So, modeling a good marriage in the home.
Yeah.
Developing empathy in your kids
Yeah.
as they grow. What other kinds of things?
Well, when you get to a certain stage, when they begin to get into a serious dating relationship, you've got to understand a marriage can only be as healthy as the least healthy person in it. Mm-hmm. In fact, yesterday I spent 4 hours with my good friend Neil Warren, founder of eHarmony here in Los Angeles. Mm-hmm. And he is I am in sync so much with him. I asked him one time, if you could only give one word of advice to a couple about to be married, what would it be? And he said it in a split second: get yourself healthy before you get yourself married. And I think that is so true. There's skill sets, there's attitudes towards marriage, but then there's that personal decor of who you are, who you're bringing into this relationship. And so, but that's also awareness on your personality, recognizing that God designed you in a unique way. And when you find this other unique person out there, you're going to create a relationship that has never been in existence before. Your marriage is one of a kind. There's never been one like yours before. And so everybody has that. So you want to help that person, your child, really become aware of who they are in their personality, how God designed them. Because they're not like you.
Right.
And parents, as you know, tend to project themselves onto their kids and so forth. And so, in fact, you mentioned Simbas, Saving Your Marriage Before It Starts. We wrote that book years ago, sold 1 million copies. And when the publisher said, hey, let's revise this and update it and keep it fresh, that's sometimes publishers speak for let's put a new cover on it.
Exactly.
And we said, let's do it right. And we did this massive listening tour. Parents, counselors, pastors asking about what needs to take place on the front end of marriage. And it was out of that and some other things that we decided to build out what we think is the world's most practical pre-marriage tool. We call it the Simbas assessment. And this is a tool It's 300 items, but you can have your child go through, answer these items.
So these are for unmarrieds to go through it.
Pre-engaged or engaged couples, maybe early marriage as well. Gives them a 15-page report on their relationship. And, we launched this about 18 months ago in the hopes of having maybe 3,000 couples go through by now. We've had well over 10,000 couples go through this thing. It's been really exciting. And every day I get up, it's like Christmas. Leslie says it's like Christmas
every day.
Because I go in and check my email to hear from these couples.
So Les, is it couples who are thinking about getting married?
Yes.
Okay, so engaged couples who'll sit down. Now, what if they go through it and they realize, ooh, we're a pretty bad match?
Yeah, well, one of the things
does that happen very often?
It does. Now, because you look at the factors like age, for example. There's just certain things that are just cold facts. If you marry at 18 versus 25, your odds for success are dramatically different. That's just on age. There's lots of factors like that we pull in. How long you've been together, It's very difficult to predict the success of marriage if a couple hasn't been together for 2 years or more.
Oh, see, Walt and I would have flunked. We should not be married. We've been married 35 years, and we got married within 9 months of meeting.
Yeah, and you lucked out. You lucked out.
No.
You did.
Yeah, I did.
You did, because that is not a healthy thing.
It's not the norm. But I just saw him and I knew, and I just was crazy about him. And that's,
Well, if you want to stack the odds in your child's favor, you want them to be older. You want them to be in at least 22 or older.
Okay.
You want to make sure that they are together with this person, dating for at least 2 years or more. And the reason this is important, it's difficult to hide something for more than 2 years.
Right.
An addiction.
Right.
Some kind of depressive, dysthymia or something like that.
Yeah.
And so 2 years or more. So there's a list. And so we help kind of tease that out on the SYMBIS assessment. And when you discover that, wow, this couple needs to pump the brakes, the last thing you want to do is say, you guys should not be getting married, because they will immediately rush out and find somebody to marry them. So the beauty of an assessment, it's like holding up a mirror, saying, what do you guys think? Because this is your information that you reported.
Yeah.
What do you think of this? And we have a little dial on the test called marriage momentum. And it's on a 100-point scale. It's like a little speedometer. And this is all infographic. It's really cool. And so the speedometer will show them how much marriage momentum. The higher their marriage momentum, the more likelihood of success. And if they have low momentum, they will immediately go, whoa, maybe we do need to pump the brakes here. Let's postpone this wedding date or whatever we need to do.
Right.
So awareness is curative. Help people be aware of it, and it's amazing what they'll do on their own.
One of the things that I experience with a lot of parents of teenagers and young adults is they feel they have no influence. They say, you know what, my 18-year-old, she moved in with a boyfriend, we're Christians, we don't like it, but there's nothing I can do.
Yeah.
Because there is part of the culture that's trying to really pull our kids in the wrong direction.
Yeah.
And it seems to me there are just a lot of kids that's, oh, come on, and when I ask, why do you want to live together? They're like, well, why not? I said, well, because of marriage. You decrease your odds of marriage, your marriage success if you do. Well, you just don't understand. This is what the world does. So how do you coach parents to engage? And they've modeled, we're talking about kids who are now 19, 20, 21 years of age. We're Christian kids. But they think their parents are just kind of, just a little old-fashioned.
No, I got to tell you, this is the trickiest thing possible, because it goes, and here I am. I'm a psychologist. My wife's a marriage and family therapist, and we catch ourselves doing this with our kids at this stage, and they're not even close to getting married yet. But it's so almost a compulsive thing that we do as parents to give advice.
Yes.
And before we have this. We build the right to give the advice. And I'm not talking about in the big scheme of things. I'm talking about within a conversation. And so it's two things. Clarify content, reflect feeling. It's like a mantra. When I'm with my boys, it's what I try to do.
Clarify content,
reflect feeling.
Okay.
So it sounds like you're saying that you're really upset with that teacher or whatever it is, right? You want to clarify. Well, no, not upset. I'm more sad. Just, whatever. You want to clarify whatever that is. And then reflecting feeling, it's like panning for gold. It's like sifting through all the verbiage that you're hearing in this conversation with your son or your daughter, and then finding that little tiny golden nugget of an emotion, even if they don't identify it yet, and then handing it back to them and go, hey, is this how you feel? Yeah, you're the first person all day, Dad, that really gets it.
So you're a 20-year-old girl. You say, Mom, Dad, I want to live with my boyfriend.
Yeah.
We're really in love. I'm not ready to get married, but we're in college. So this is what we're going to do.
And the impulse is to go, oh, honey, whoa.
Exactly.
Yeah,
That's exactly what I would say. What would
yes.
you say to that girl?
Well, that's interesting. Tell me more about that.
Oh, you have so much self-control.
No, I'm not saying I do that. That's what I'd want to do. I haven't hit that place yet. But that's ideal, what you want to...
Oh, honey, that's so interesting.
Yeah, tell me about that. A lot of people are doing that these days. Tell me a little bit about what motivates you to think in those terms. Tease that out. Because once they feel understood and accepted by you...
Even though you don't have to... accept like what they're doing,
right? Because you're not endorsing that. You're
exactly.
accepting them. You want to hear their heart. Where are they at on this?
That's huge.
And then she goes, well, we just thought it would be better, financially. Can save so much money and blah blah blah. Find out what's going on in the mentality of that, and rather than just going, oh, honey, don't you know the statistics on that? I mean, the divorce rate goes way up when you live together before blah blah blah.
Yeah.
And here's what happens, and I can do that all day long because I know that. But you got to bite your tongue and just experience that conversation with them first.
Yes.
And maybe even come back to it later. Just the more you do that, the more they'll go, hey, Mom, Dad, they're cool. They're cool. Because you haven't endorsed that behavior.
Yeah.
You're just understanding
I think that's a mistake parents. If I sit and I listen and I engage and I talk about that.
You feel like you're affirming it.
You're affirming it. And I said, no.
Right.
That takes tremendous amount of self-control. And I would encourage parents to learn to pray it silently as they talk.
Oh, for sure. You can't do it otherwise.
You can't do it otherwise.
No, ask the Holy Spirit to help you in that moment because you can't do it. It goes against the grain on every fiber.
So many great conversations we need to have with our kids about so many different issues that they're facing. Yeah. It's a wonderful tool that every parent should be able to try to adopt and to learn.
Yeah.
Les, we're out of time.
Hey, so good.
Thank you, my friend.
This
is just so much fun. Where can people find out about you and your work?
So they can go to lessonleslie.com. That's Les with one S, L-E-S, and Leslie, L-E-S-L-I-E, lessonleslie.com. All of our books there, Saving Your Marriage Before It Starts, the book, the His, Her workbooks, the DVD, and then, of course, this brand new assessment, the SYMBIS assessment.
They can access it right there through your website. Yeah. Great.
Good
All right. Thanks, Les.
Bye-bye.
Well, that wraps up my conversation with Dr. Les Parrott. This is Parenting Great Kids with Dr. Meg Meeker as your host. I am dedicated to helping you parent more relationally and more practically. Until next time, remember, great kids are raised, not born.
We hope you've enjoyed listening to Parenting Great Kids. You can like Dr. Meg on Facebook and follow her on Twitter at MegMeekerMD. Just as a reminder, go to megmeekermd.com and sign up for the newsletter for giveaway opportunities and updates. And don't forget to share the podcast, write us a review, and click subscribe.